Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode number 8 of The Rundown. I know this has been a little while since I've done this, but, I've been busy. I've tried to do it. I've sat down multiple times, wrote out stuff, and then I'm like, can't do it, ran out of time. But today I've made an extra special episode for you guys. Not only am I going to be discussing the happenings in the world of movie news today, but at the end, I'm also going to do a little unboxing video for you guys. So I recently subscribed to the Legion of Collectors through Funko. It's basically their DC Comics or DC Cinematic Universe, their DC property box that they ship out every other month. So this month's theme is Batman the Animated Series, which is probably one of my favorite incarnations of Batman. So why not open it? I haven't opened it yet, and I actually got it in the mail a couple days ago. So what the hell? I'm gonna do it. I'll open it at the end of the show. But before we do that, we got some serious movie news to talk about here. A lot of James Bond news in particular. So we'll start the show off with that, talking Bond 25. So after over a year of, speculation, fan casting, is it going to be Tom Hiddleston, Idris Elba? Who's going to take up the mantle for James Bond? And also there were those rumors of $150 million payouts to Daniel Craig if he's going to return for one last time. Yeah, that, side note there, that's ludicrous. I don't know if anyone is worth $150 million for a role. I mean, hey, what the hell? I guess if they have the money, then I guess pay them, maybe? I don't know. But anyways, The Mirror from the mirror.co.uk, you can go look it up. They're reporting that Barbara Broccoli, great name, I know. Barbara Broccoli has finally talked Craig around, that is in quotation marks, and convinced him to return to the role that made him famous over a decade ago with Casino Royale. This news will no doubt come as a relief to many Craig loyalists who have been bemoaned by the idea of recasting the role, with actors ranging, like I said, from Tom Hiddleston, Idris Elba, Tom Hardy, Michael Fassbender even. He's my first choice personally, but other potential replacements. And so she seems to, the report seems to indicate that Craig may have in fact come around, and Barbara Broccoli may have in fact secured him for one final film, which is great news if you ask me, because I happen to think that Daniel Craig is the best Bond out there. People might want to argue with me. I know that we got a lot of Sean Connery fans, a lot of Roger Moore fans, a lot of Timothy Dalton fans, actually, the overlooked one, if you will. But I think Daniel Craig has just reinvented the character here. He's basically improved upon what Timothy Dalton did back in the 80s with his with the two films, License to Kill and The Living Daylights. Daniel Craig has basically improved upon that formula and made it better, in my opinion. I mean, he's made two all-right films, but he's also made two really, really phenomenal films. So I think Craig is probably my favorite Bond. But that's not all. That is not all in this report. Barbara Broccoli is also, quote-unquote, determined to sign Adele to sing the theme for the film. For those of you who don't remember, Adele did the theme for Skyfall that came out a few years ago. I think it was in 2012. Correct me if I'm wrong. But it was huge. It blew up. It's probably regarded as one of the best Bond songs now. Everyone remembers it. So yeah, I mean, obviously it'd be great to have her back to sing the song for for Daniel Craig's final outing as the character. One more quote here. Adele is a little bit more of an unknown factor here in terms of returning to the franchise. Craig seems to be all around locked in, according to this report, and I guess if you believe this report, Barbara Broccoli. But I'm going to read you this one more quote here. A source close to the project said the following: Craig and Adele together are the winning team, the ultimate choice, the money spinners, if you will. It's taken time, but Daniel has come around, and the strong consensus in the Bond offices is that Mr. Craig is 007 again. As for Adele, she's more of an unknown quantity, but loved being part of Bond, so the signs are positive. These are good signs. Yes, obviously, Daniel Craig's the most important part. Whether Adele comes back, it'd just be a little cherry on top. But if Daniel Craig comes back, which if you believe this report, it seems that that is very likely, that's great news. I want to see Daniel Craig go out on a high note. I think that regardless of what your opinions are on Spectre, I think we can all agree that it wasn't exactly the film you wanted Craig to go out on. It was a little bit, I don't want to say disappointing, but I just felt like for his final outing, he deserved better. And I also want to see Craig and Christoph Waltz's Blofeld on screen one more time together to kind of further the story that they've already began with Spectre. Because let's face it, if the next film, Craig wasn't in the next film, and we still have Christoph Waltz's Blofeld, it would almost feel a little weird, a little bit disservice to that story. I just kind of would like to see those two carry it on or carry it out for one more film. So yeah, that's basically the report. It seems to have strong confirmation that Daniel Craig is going to return as James Bond for the 25th installment of the James Bond franchise. Once again, nothing is confirmed, so everything that I'm saying here could be a load of bullshit, but if you believe the Mirror, then this is looking more and more likely. But that's not all the news we have today in terms of James Bond 25. Christopher Nolan, the mastermind behind the Dark Knight trilogy and films such as Inception, Interstellar, The Prestige, Memento, Insomnia, and also the director of Dunkirk, which is going to be released not this week, but the following week in IMAX theaters and theaters nationwide. If you, by the way, little side note here, if you have the opportunity to go see Dunkirk in 70mm, I highly recommend it. I have not seen the film myself, but I have just heard that it is an experience that must be seen in the IMAX theater, and if you're fortunate enough to see it on 70mm, which I will be, so you can expect me to gush about that film when it comes out, go do it. And that's actually something we'll get on to later on in the show, talking about the first reactions for Dunkirk. But anyways, going back to Bond. It's basically long been known that Christopher Nolan, he's a massive fan of the James Bond franchise and the character. And he's even expressed interest in helming one himself if the time was right. I know he's mentioned this before in the past. There's been several rumors circulating like, oh, Christopher Nolan really wants to direct a Bond film. Well, hell yeah, that sounds like an awesome case here. But in a little bit more recent terms, in a recent interview for Playboy, the director said the following: a Bond movie? Definitely. I've spoken to the producers Barbara Broccoli and Michael G. Wilson over the years. I deeply love the character, and I'm always excited to see what they do with it. Maybe one day that would work out. You'd have to be needed if you know what you'd have to be needed if you know what I mean. It has to need reinvention. It has to need you, and they're getting along very well. So this is actually an interesting little quote right here. Oh, Tyler, I want an M. Night Shyamalan Bond. Holy crap, that would be a weird-ass movie. No doubt to write the next Bond. Oh my God, no doubt to do a Bond theme. Holy shit. Wow, you just put a weird ska Bond anthem in my head. Thank you, Owen, for that lovely little piece of thing there. Anyways, going back to Bond here. So yeah, this is an interesting quote for several reasons. Obviously, the part where it says it has to need reinvention, that seems like code for we have to bring on the new Bond. I don't want to do a Craig film. I want to do the next iteration of James Bond, have a new character, get a fresh take on it, and bring us something we haven't seen before. And this is leading me to my next point here, which is, would Nolan be the best choice to finish out the Craig series, or would his take be best suited for the next Bond to come on board, whether it be Tom Hiddleston, Michael Fassbender, Tom Hardy, whatever, it doesn't matter. What is Christopher Nolan best suited for? And if you ask me, I can see both sides of the coin here. On one hand, I want Daniel Craig to finish out strong, and I want him to have the best possible finale that he possibly can. Because once again, Daniel Craig is my favorite James Bond. I think what he's done for the character is he's brought an intensity. He's grounded him just a little bit more. They've dialed down the cheese a little bit, and not that Bond hasn't been taken seriously in the past, but especially with these Craig films, he's been taken a little bit more seriously than he ever has been, and thus his films are more intense. I feel like the emotions are higher. There's higher stakes and emotions involved in these films. I mean, just look at a film like Casino Royale. That is probably one of the most intense and character-driven Bond films that I don't know we've ever seen. So on one hand, I want Craig to get that final outing. I want him to ride off into the sunset with a phenomenal film. And I think that with a director like Christopher Nolan, you're absolutely going to get that. Because once again, Christopher Nolan has stated that he loves the character, he loves the franchise, he's been a fan for years, and he's always wanted to make one. And my next point here is it's Christopher Nolan. The man has never made a bad film. Probably his closest to making a bad film would either be The Dark Knight Rises or Interstellar. Now, I'm not saying I hate both of those films. I actually think both of those films are phenomenal, and they're probably some of my favorite Christopher Nolan films. I'm saying the general movie-going audience will probably point to those as being his weaker films. Once again, I don't see it. I think all of his films are masterpieces, so I'm going to differ on my opinion with that. But the consensus is Christopher Nolan has never made a bad movie. So you pair that with arguably the best Bond, and you give him a full, intense, character-driven, incredible finale. That would be something that I would love to see. I would love to see it because Daniel Craig deserves it. Once again, though, you don't necessarily need Christopher Nolan to get that. You could get there's plenty of other directors out there that could give Craig the finale that his interpretation of the character deserves. So moving on to the other hand here, what better way to kickstart the next Bond than to have your first outing to have your first outing directed by Christopher Nolan? That's how you fucking start out with a bang. I mean, Christopher Nolan helming a James Bond film, you bring on, let's say Tom Hardy. Christopher Nolan and Tom Hardy already have a working relationship, so you know Nolan's going to get an incredible performance out of Tom Hardy. Tom Hardy is a Class A talent, so you know he's going to give it his all, and you combine those two, oh my gosh, the possibilities are endless. And if you're reading that quote there, it also looks like Nolan wants to put his own spin on the franchise and the character, and what better way to do that with a fresh interpretation of Bond? We're not connecting. He doesn't have to be tied down by the events of the Craig films. He can just go out, do his own thing, and for the first outing of this character, I think Nolan would do just that. He has a vision, and he would do the movie the way he sees fit, and he would be able to, because once again he's not tied down by previous Bond lore. Every time there's a changing or a passing of the baton for James Bond to these characters, the films do have a different interpretation to them. So I think that would be the perfect opportunity to let Christopher Nolan spread his wings and get those creative juices flowing and all sorts of stuff there. So I see both sides of it, and either one I would be completely okay with because this is Christopher Nolan. I have the utmost faith in him. I trust that regardless of whether Christopher Nolan is attached to Bond 25, Daniel Craig's going to get the finale that he deserves and all that jazz. So let me know your thoughts and opinions on this recent James Bond news in the comment section below or in the chat board if you're watching me live. Do you think that Craig really is going to return for the 25th installment in the James Bond franchise? Do you think that Adele's going to hop on board? And what do you think? Should Nolan do Bond 25, or maybe should he hold off until they're getting ready to start the next series of Bond films with a new actor? Leave your thoughts and opinions in the comment section below or in the chat board if you're watching me live. All right, moving on to the next topic here, and continuing on the Nolan train, if you will. The first reactions for Dunkirk, they're in. And needless to say, they have been overwhelmingly positive. For those of you who don't know, Dunkirk is Christopher Nolan's latest film. It deals with the true events that happened on during World War II, the Miracle of Dunkirk, where a bunch of soldiers were evacuated from the beaches of France. And I won't tell you what happens because I guess that would be a spoiler, even though it's history. But anyways, it's apparently one of Christopher Nolan's shortest films. It's got a runtime of 1:47. So people were kind of concerned, like, is this enough time to tell a war story? Usually they're around like 3 hours long. What the hell is going on here? Your concerns can be put to rest, because like I said, the reactions for Dunkirk have been overwhelmingly positive. I'm just going to read to you a few tweets here from some people who tweeted out their reactions. Steve Weintraub from Collider is the first one here. He says, Dunkirk is edge-of-your-seat filmmaking that's fully realized in IMAX. Can honestly say I've never seen anything like it. See this in IMAX! ! He also says, a lot of people were wondering about Harry Styles and unknown cast. They're all great, but Dunkirk is not about any one soldier. That's interesting, and it makes sense just watching the trailers. They don't seem to focus on one particular person. They seem to focus on the events. And like three converging stories or so not. He also goes on to say, also, Dunkirk is another brilliant collaboration between Nolan and Hans Zimmer. The way he mixes in a ticking clock with score is nail-biting, which, if you were fortunate enough to see that 7-minute IMAX trailer for Dunkirk, you definitely got that. Hans Zimmer's score was definitely the driving force of this bad boy, and one of the reasons why you're on the edge of your seat with your heart beating out of your chest. And then the last thing that Steve Weintraub goes on to say is, let me say this one more time. If you're going to see Dunkirk, go to an IMAX theater looking for IMAX 70mm. Or, I'm sorry, look for IMAX 70mm. It's absolutely worth the money. I mean, if that right there doesn't sell you, then I don't know what will. But anyways, I'll read you some more tweets. Erica Davis tweeted, hashtag Dunkirk is chaotic, relentless, thrilling, and one of the most captivating movies you will see this year. A master class in craft. What a ride. She also goes on to say, 30 seconds in, Nolan once again delivers a spectacular edge-of-your-seat opening sequence, and then it just keeps upping the tension. That gets me excited. she finishes it out, or I'm sorry, not Eric Davis, excuse me. I'm an idiot. She then finishes out by saying, he finishes out by saying, from direction to editing to cinematography to score, with Dunkirk, Christopher Nolan proves he is one of the great filmmakers of our time, which I wholly agree with. He is definitely one of the great filmmakers of our time. Alicia Malone, many of you probably know her or follow her on Twitter. She says, Dunkirk, intense, 3 intercutting stories on 3 time frames, almost a silent film with incredible score, may be divisive. I loved C70mm. I don't know. I could keep reading all of these, but they all seem to be pretty damn positive. I don't think we have anything to worry about in terms of Dunkirk being a good movie or not. It seems like it's worrying for something special here. And I really hope that this is a film that will get recognized come Oscar time. Because once again, I think Christopher Nolan is one of the greatest filmmakers of our time. I think he's probably one of the greatest ever. I just look at his films. They're absolutely original and mind-blowing. And I'd like to see him finally get some recognition. I don't think the man has ever been nominated for a Best Director award, at least nominated. Isn't that mind-blowing? I can't even believe it. The guy has created such incredible cinema, and yet he's never been recognized. And I really hope that this is the film to do it. I mean, it's coming out in the middle of the year, so they'll probably have to do a big push for it come Oscar time. But hell, if Logan is making a case for the performances of Patrick Stewart and Hugh Jackman, then I think Dunkirk, if it's as good as these tweets are saying, I'll have to wait for the reviews and have to see it myself. But if it's as good as these tweets are saying, I'm really, really hoping that he gets some recognition. Please, Academy. Christopher Nolan, come on, he deserves something. Anyways, so those are the first reactions here from Dunkirk. Let me know what your thoughts and opinions are about these reactions, and are you excited to see Dunkirk? Are you going to go see it in the 70mm IMAX, just regular IMAX, just regular, not an IMAX fan? I think if you're going to go see this film, you just need to go see it in IMAX. Just shell out the money. Just do it. Bite the bullet. It's going to be an experience to remember. I saw Interstellar in 70mm IMAX. That was hands down one of the greatest movie-going experiences I've ever experienced. So yeah. Let me know how excited you are for Dunkirk, either in the comment section or in the chat board. If you're watching me live, which it only appears one of you is. So sad. All right, moving on to our next topic here. I was originally going to talk about the Dark Tower trailer number 2, but silly me, I forgot to watch it. Out of all the things I was doing prepping for this, I forgot to watch the Dark Tower trailer number 2. So we're going to skip that, and we're going to move on to what I believe is our last topic before I unbox this Funko box down here. And it has to do with Ready Player One. So, Alan Silvestri will be scoring the film. In fact, John Williams won't score Steven Spielberg's not his next film, but the film to come out after that. Ready Player One. It wrapped filming last year, and it's set for a March 2018 release date. Apparently, the post-production process for this film has been fairly lengthy. So lengthy, in fact, that Steven Spielberg has been able to pick up a new project earlier this year, and it's going to have a release time. It's going to have a release for later this year. Of course, I'm talking about the his political drama called The Papers, starring Meryl Streep, Tom Hanks, and a bunch of other A-list talent. It's aiming for a December release. And so, since The Papers and Ready Player One are kind of being made at the same time, John Williams, who is currently 85 and still killing it, is only opting to work on one of the films. And it looks like his talents will be used on The Papers. This is according to Variety, and thus the duties for Ready Player One will fall to Alan Silvestri, who is a phenomenal choice. He did Back to the Future, The Avengers, one of the Mummy movies, I believe. I don't remember which one. I think the second one. But he's a quality composer. So, even though it's a little sad that we won't be able to see John Williams's score, or an original John Williams score for a new sci-fi film by Steven Spielberg, it makes sense. I mean, look, the guy's 85. He's not, as young as Michael Giacchino or, even Hans Zimmer is still young enough where he can be balancing multiple films. John Williams is getting up there, so he can't necessarily take all the responsibility of that. And so this just logically makes sense. And it's not like we're getting a bad composer here. We're getting Alan Silvestri. The guy is arguably a legend. Probably not to the status of John Williams, because let's face it, John Williams is in the stratosphere. But Alan Silvestri is a quality composer, definitely one of the best composers to have ever lived. He's created such iconic themes, and I think his style will actually serve Ready Player One quite well. He did such a great job with Back to the Future. That's one of the most iconic themes. And then obviously with the Avengers, very, very memorable stuff. I don't think we have anything to worry about here. It's just a little disappointing that we won't be able to see John Williams do an original score for sci-fi, and that sci-fi being made by Steven Spielberg. But what do you guys think? Are you happy about this? Do you think that it's best that John Williams just focus on one film instead of doing multiple films? He actually does have a history of not tackling scoring multiple films at once, so this actually makes even more sense when you look at it this light. Do you think that Alan Silvestri is going to bring something special to the table? Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comment section below, or in the chat board if you're watching me live. All right, so that is the news, guys. That is all the news for today. So I'm going to be able to now move into the unboxing video. So like I said, I subscribe to Legion of Collectors. It is the Funko DC box, and this month's theme is Batman the Animated Series. So I'm going to open this up, pull everything out, show you what I got, and you can comment in here, tell me I'm a loser, or, give me your thoughts and opinions on the Legion of Collectors box. So let's dive into this. I literally have no room on this table, so I won't be able to put it up there, but I'm unboxing it. So, all right, first thing here. So we got a patch and a pin here. I don't really use these. I mean, the pins are kind of cool, but I have no use for this. Anyways, but the patch is cool this time around. We've got the Joker. It's the Batman the Animated Series Joker. You can see him right there. Probably one of my favorite incarnations of the character. I think Mark Hamill will probably go down as being my definitive Joker, as much as I love the on-screen portrayal of that Heath Ledger brought to it. So that's pretty cool. And then we also got this pin that is Catwoman. Yeah, she was cool in the animated series, and the pin's pretty all right. So there's first 2 items. Let me grab the next one. Oh boy, this is a big box. Big box. There's a little flyer in here. I guess next month's theme is DC's Most Wanted. So there's that. Order your box if you're into this stuff. Okay, so next thing I'm pulling out here is a comic. It is the Batman Adventures #1, obviously Funko themed and stuff like that. This is a pretty freaking awesome comic, I have to say. I really dig the vibe they got here. Definitely captured Batman the Animated Series and all that stuff. I can try and scoot this back, get you a better look at it. Sweet, solid comic. All right, let's move on to the next thing. Okay, next thing we got here is a shirt. Ooh. Yay, I got a shirt. Hopefully it's cool. Oh, yes. Oh, this is pretty badass. All right, so this is a Batman the Animated Series shirt. Holy crap, this is freaking cool. Look at that. That right there. That is definitely the Batman the Animated Series vibe. I mean, that's like the silhouette. That's like iconic shit right there. I can see if I can hold it up again. Whew. Look at that bad boy. That might be my favorite thing in this box. Who knows? Really dig that shirt. That is freaking awesome. Okay. Ooh. All right, so we got 2 things in here. I don't take my collectibles out of the box because I don't know. I just don't. Like, as you can see by my pops over here, I don't like to take them out of the box. But I'll show you guys what I got. So the first thing to show off here is this Batman the Animated Series Batmobile. So that is, wow, that is awesome. That it definitely has like the feel of the Elfman movies and the animated series though. It is very distinctly Batman the Animated Series, so I can try and show you guys this. That is awesome. Whew, I might actually have to take that one out of the box. That one's sweet. Anyways, moving on to the final item in this box, and probably my favorite item in the box. I just had a look at it. Whew. We got Batman the Animated Series Mr. Freeze Funko Pop. Oh, this is awesome. I want to start getting the Batman the Animated Series Funkos because once again I'm a Funko fanatic. I collect these things, but this is just so cool. I'm surprised that they hadn't made him before, but I guess if they're saving him for like a limited release box, it makes sense. So I really dig that. So yeah, guys, that is that is my unboxing video. I don't know. Maybe I'll do more of these if you guys liked it. Once again, I only really get this box every other month, so I guess I could do it every time I get it. But you know, what do you guys think? Do you think that this stuff is cool? Do you think this is worth my money, or do you think I'm wasting money and all sorts of stuff? But anyways, guys, thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of The Rundown. Leave your thoughts and opinions on all the topics I discussed and my Funko unboxing in the comments section below. Let me know how I can improve this let me know how I can improve this show down there. And then also be sure to like this video, share it with your friends, all your movie news loving friends, your Funko fanatics, all those good people. Share it with all of them. And then also be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more movie reviews, movie-related content. I try and do this show as often as I can. Don't always get around to it, but we also have movie reviews and other types of stuff going on, so you can just look around and find something you'll like. I'm sure there's something in there. But yeah, and then you can also like Men vs. Movies on Facebook and follow us on Twitter simply by searching Men v Movies. I said this in my Spider-Man Homecoming review, which you can check out because it's a pretty good video. But we recently hit 500 subscribers, and I just want to thank all of you again so very, very much from the bottom of my heart. It means a lot to all of us here at Men vs. Movies because we enjoy creating this content, putting it out for all of you guys to enjoy, and we love all the positive feedback you've got from us and all the love you've been giving us on our videos and on our channel. So once again, thank you to everyone who's ever subscribed to our YouTube channel, liked the video, watched it, shared it, all that shit. You guys rock. Lastly, last little plug here. If you head on over to menversusmovies.com, we are starting to post daily editorials and news-related articles. Yesterday, we recently released a news article about the possibility of Daniel Craig returning as James Bond. So if you want to read a little bit about that, you can go over there. We also posted a bunch of editorials about Spider-Man last week in preparation for Spider-Man Homecoming coming out. A whole bunch of great stuff on menversusmovies.com. Go check it out. And lastly, guys, if you like me specifically and you like what I have to say, you can always give me a follow on Twitter at Griff Schiller. And yeah, that's going to do it for this installment of The Rundown. Until next time, take care. And I didn't stop the stream. Well, take care, guys.